What is up, everybody? Today we have a lot to talk about. We have Week 14 in the NFL. We got to talk about Demaryius Thomas and who the best quarterbacks in the land are. Let's get into it. What is going on, spectators? Today I am here with Brooklyn, as always. What's going on, brother?
Not much, man. Getting into the holiday spirit. We got Christmas around the corner.
Yes, sir.
We were talking about it before. We got 12 days getting these presents
Yes,
in.
sir.
Amazon working hard.
Yes, sir.
We working Jeff Bezos to the bone.
No, I wish we were.
I wish we
I
were
wish we
because
were.
we ain't going
I
against this
wish,
ain't that type of
I wish
podcast.
we were. But yeah,
Nah, man. But I'm excited, happy to get into it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 12 days Christmas, that is when the song starts. So today is first day of true celebration. If you got one of those like boards that you open stuff 12 days before Christmas, congratulations. Here you go. Go crazy. And yeah, let's get right into it. Let's do it how we do every week with our NFL winners and losers. Do you want to start?
What you want me to start with, winner or loser?
Whichever your heart desires, King.
I love a good loser.
Oh, you're telling me.
I love a good loser. And this week, my loser is a two-parter.
Ooh, I'm ready.
We throwing it in
I'm
twice
down.
because people do not learn before games start. Stay off the logo.
Ah,
Stay off the logo because it's not gonna end well for you. It's just not.
more often than not, yeah.
It's not gonna end well. And the Raiders were a product of that, man. Let me tell you, they have a team meeting on the Chiefs' Arrowhead to start the game.
As if
And
the
Patty
Chiefs
and-
didn't beat their booties in last time they played.
Oh, and that's part two.
Okay.
Well, just wait.
Okay.
So, Patty and friends, to start the game for the first half, they go on to put 35 points on their head top.
Jesus, man.
35. That's what you get.
So you
People
get.
don't learn.
Don't learn.
Every time you go on the logo before the game or you want to celebrate on the logo, it's not going to end well.
It doesn't.
That's one of the most disrespectful things you could do.
Yeah.
Now going into the second part, like you mentioned, they got whooped.
Yeah, whooped.
They got whooped, and I have a number for you.
Ooh, I had this number ready too, I think.
I have a point total in the two
yep,
games.
I had this number too.
In the two games that they lost, the Las Vegas Raiders were outscored by the Kansas City Chiefs 89-23.
Bro, it's so bad.
8 quarters of football, 89 points. And 2 losses.
That's so bad.
That is terrible.
That's terrible. They didn't change a thing.
So,
in fact, they got worse.
They did.
They literally scored less and gave up more in the second game.
So that's my wholesome loser, and I love every bit of it.
Okay, I can get down to that. A loser for me. There's quite a few of them. And I'm gonna go with the AFC North as a
Fair
whole.
enough.
This division is a fat loser, and here's why. You announced the Browns dead, I think, 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I thought it was a pretty fair assumption. They're still in the playoff race, and honestly, if they rattle off 2 wins, they might get in the playoffs. If they go 2-2, they might get in. Just kind of how everything looks. The Steelers at one point looked like they could be a team to kind of make the playoffs, and then clearly just are not that. Big Ben and Claypool is a disaster, and Claypool's like, dude, it's crazy how like Chase Claypool and Juju are like so talented and so detrimental to their team at the same time. It's insane.
Can we get into that after you wrap up your point?
Yeah. We'll talk more about those guys in particular. Lamar goes down, and now Lamar Jackson, with not playing this game, is now trailing Taylor Heineke in total passing yards, which we'll talk more about later too.
Heineke.
Ravens are in first place at 8-5. They're 1 game ahead of the Browns, who are in last place. Or no, I guess the Steelers are in last place now. And then the Bengals lose an OT game to the 49ers. And it's going to be tough for any of these teams to make the playoffs that aren't winning the division. Bengals play the Broncos next week, who play really, really well. Winner of that's probably going to sneak in. You got to worry about the Chargers getting in. This division, you could have seen 4 teams that could have made the playoffs, at least in terms of view, and now they only will probably get one. And it's because they're not very good, and half their wins are coming off each other because they're not very good. So
Yeah. It's tough, and I still stand on the Browns are dead thing because they win by 2 against the Ravens.
Hey, to be fair, it was a late comeback with like an onside kick,
and you also lose Lamar Jackson, so all that's tough. So I still stand on that. But yeah, you're right. The AFC North is just a wasteland.
Their records are good, but the teams aren't.
Yeah, it's just so weird, and they're weirdly good and weirdly bad at the same time. The Ravens have been up and down all year with Lamar Jackson. He didn't score a touchdown to start the year for a couple of weeks. That was a whole weird thing. You got the Bengals, who looked like a powerhouse. Looked like Joe Burrow coming off of the ACL injury was just going to be a monster. They fold.
They're a weird team too. Like some weeks they'll score 40, and the next they do this week and have to score 20 in the second half just to get to overtime. And it was like,
and that's what happens with a young, inexperienced team. Like you're not going to have that consistency. So, well, we'll see what happens. And then the Browns, we've gone in so many times on them. Same thing with Steelers.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you mentioned with Claypool, that was just a wild thing, man. Especially with the reaction to not take any accountability on that and blame the linemen when you're over here celebrating a first down on a 2-minute drill.
No timeouts.
Just no timeouts. And when you look at it in hindsight, if they have those extra 5 to 12
they could have ran
seconds,
another play.
They could have ran another play. And that play could have won them the game.
Yeah.
So for you to end up doing that and then you end up blaming the linemen. Well, yeah, but yeah. So that's just tough. And then same thing with Juju. He's a problem child himself on the field.
Well,
with
Juju
everything he does.
Juju's the perfect example of like what happened with the Raiders. Like Juju's been that guy who's kind of disrespected teams before a game, and then like they've gotten whooped because of it, and he's taken some shots because of it, and you know,
two very, very talented young players who they just had the mentality, and I mean, who's to say they don't over time?
I think they do. I think just like they want to have like a little bit too much fun sometimes. Like there's not enough there's not a switch for like, hey, this is high pressure, let's go, go, go.
Yeah.
I don't think they have that.
Yeah, that's the thing. After the game, do whatever you want. Before the game and during the game especially.
Yeah, particularly during the game. Like don't do what Chase did, but literally like 30 seconds left and no timeouts. That cost them like at least 9 seconds. And it's like, no, there's the game.
There you go.
And he had a pretty decent game too, and that kind of overshadows it. So,
and then especially where they are, like a loss like that just hurts.
That loss, their season's over because now they have to play the Patriots, the Titans, the Ravens, and the Browns. They're not winning 3 of those games. They're just not. No. And they have to win 3 of those games to get in. So their season's over.
Yeah.
If you're the Steelers, you try and lose all 4, truly. And you go and try and beef up that defense because it needs a lot of help.
Yeah.
Cool. You got a winner?
Yeah. We like to talk about moral victories and moral winners here a lot over here at the Spectators. We do. And last night in primetime, we had a crazy game that our
shouldn't have been crazy.
Fellow member of the Spectators, Gerard, which you'll hear from in a little bit.
Sure.
He was at the game. He got to witness all this. You'll get a little taste of his reactions coming here soon. But that game was wild. The Bucs looked like they were just gonna bully the Bills, and they did.
They definitely did.
They did for a half, and then, as the saying goes, a tale of 2 halves.
Yeah.
The Bills come back. All the way back, in fact, and take it into overtime.
All the way back.
And then they end up losing. But the reason why they're the moral victory winners here for me Because to be able to come back against the Bucks like that and take it into overtime when you look just dead in the water.
Yeah, they looked
You had no
bad in the
business
first half.
being there at
Bad.
that point. You look terrible, especially when they've been on a slide. Everybody's been knocking them down, as we should. They have been playing not up to their potential.
No, not even close.
So naturally. So they end up getting there. And I mean, to get to that point and then everybody's saying they got cheated. Could, if you want to look at it, no problem. Refs, it happens.
Play
However you
better
wanna look at
before
it.
that. The refs don't make an
Play
issue
better
of it.
before
Yeah,
exactly.
especially in football. Like in the NBA, you can kind of make that case a little
Yeah.
bit more, I think. Because like you miss a three, or like they call a weird foul, and then it goes the other way. They hit a three, and now it's like a 5-point swing. You're like, oh, well, that was pretty immediate. The NFL, it's like you had plenty of game to make a play or two.
But the fact that it comes down to that in a situation where everybody thought they wouldn't even get there is good to me because you take them that far. And then the rest of their schedule is not that tough.
Not crazy,
so they're on the brink of missing the playoffs right now. They're the 7th seed, they're 7-6, not great. But the worry is that they wouldn't make playoffs. I think they're more winners because I think they do now because out of the next 4 games, only one of them, in my opinion, they really have to worry about, and that's at New England in 2 weeks. Before that, they got Carolina, and then after that, they got Atlanta and the Jets. I think those 3 are just a wash. They win them, cakewalk, cool. They go 3-1 at best, and they're in a good spot. They're in the playoffs. Everybody's happy.
Yeah.
There we go.
Piggybacking off my loser earlier too, they don't even have to go 3-1 to make it in because they're going against pretty much all those AFC North teams to get in. Besides the Broncos. The Broncos are a little sneaky. But all the other AFC North teams are pretty much the ones they're going against. And I think all of them will probably go 2-2. Mm-hmm. So I don't think you have to worry too much. As long as the Bills go 2-2 here, they're probably in.
Yeah, as long as you control your own destiny. Yeah. Don't put it into the hands of
don't lose to Carolina. That's it. Just don't lose to Carolina.
Yeah.
And you're probably fine.
Don't lose to the Jets either. You're not gonna like it, Gerard.
Yeah. So I have a winner today.
Okay.
And it's a pretty broad one, but I think it's important to mention.
Okay.
Running backs. My winner this week is running backs. Dalvin Cook, 205 yards on 27 rushes, 2 touchdowns. Then you got Alvin Kamara with 120 yards and a touchdown. I think he had like another 60 on the air. And Gerard will talk more about the particulars for most of them later. Rashad Penny had a great day with 140 yards and 2 touchdowns, I believe. Melvin Gordon had 2 touchdowns and 100 yards. Jamal Williams on the same team with the Broncos had 2 touchdowns. There was a lot of really good guys running the ball. Leonard Fournette, I think, had a 100-yard game. Justin Fields had 70 yards. He's not a running back, but running the football, baby. Yeah, just people running the football. They had a good weekend. And I like football better when running backs are good. I think it's more fun.
Absolutely.
I mentioned it before too. We finally have 3 people. Brooklyn's been doing a graphic every week for the top 3 counting stats every week, and Derrick Henry's been out for about 5 weeks now, maybe 6, and he's been in the top 3 every single week since he's been out because he was that far ahead, and he is officially no longer in the top 3 because it took a 200-yard effort from Dalvin Cook. But hey. We're getting there. We're getting there.
Insane that Derrick Henry has been able to keep that top spot.
It goes to show you that a lot of injuries have happened at running back, and then like somebody
how good he was.
The injuries, the running back by committee groups that there kind of are. Like if San Francisco had one runner that was healthy all year, he would probably lead the league, or like that top 3. But it's a common courtesy in San Francisco as a running back to get hurt and let the 3rd, 4th, 5th string play a little bit. So,
everybody got to share the rock.
Yeah, they need to. Yeah, exactly. They're just trying to feed their homies.
Everybody got to eat.
Is all it is.
Everybody got to eat.
Yeah, so that's one of my winners. You got any more? You got any straggler winners, straggler loser, either or?
I got a little bit of both.
Okay.
Got a little bit of both.
rip.
You took one of them in your AFC North rant.
Okay.
With my loser was gonna be Lamar going down, the Ravens, all that, yada yada.
Okay.
Won't get back into
No.
it. But a quick audible. I won't get too deep into it though.
Okay.
It pains me to say it, man, but just the reunion with Carolina and Cam Newton. It
Oof.
looked so good,
Yeah.
and then it just
Yeah.
it's just ugh.
Yeah.
So hasn't been good. Gets benched. Now they want to do the dual quarterback with PJ and Cam, and
Jeez.
it's tough, man. It's tough. I really want to see Cam ball. It was such a good hearted Christmas story to want to say it where he comes back home. Could have gave them a little run, but it doesn't happen.
Dude.
And then
Oh.
no, what did you have?
I was just gonna say, piggybacking off of that loser, just the Panthers as a team, man. They were 3-0. They were looking good.
Yeah.
Defense looked crispy, looking spicy.
Yeah.
3-0, 5-8 now.
Yeah, tough.
So
really tough.
That's it.
So before I give my other little winner, do you have another one? Because mine's gonna be a segue.
Okay. I think we're on the same page, so I'm gonna let you go with it. I think you're on the same page.
So let me get comfy.
I think we're on the same page here.
So my winner is Father Time himself.
Okay, we're kind of on the same page.
Thomas Brady.
Thomas.
Tequila Tom.
Tampa Bay.
Tampa Bay. He breaks another record.
Yeah.
The man doesn't stop.
Oh.
He just does not stop. And shout out to Drew Brees. He held this for a while, and now Tom's at the top of everything. He's in his own league.
Look at QB all-time stats.
He is number one
everything.
in passing attempts.
Yep.
He's number one in passing yards.
Yep.
He's number one in passing touchdowns. And yesterday against the Buffalo Bills, he is now number one in passing completions.
Pretty crazy.
And the segue is, we're going to go in and talk about who is the best quarterback in the NFL right now.
Yes, sir.
And now, I say all those things about Tom. Historically, he's leading all that.
Yeah.
Well, this season, he's leading the whole league in that, too. So, I think I can speak for me and Julian and say, in theory, that should be the number one guy.
In theory.
Right? In theory. We're not here to talk about theories.
We're not here to talk about theories. Yeah, you kind of said everything that needed to be said. Tom is the best to ever do it. I'm not sure if anybody else will have any type of resemblance to the accolades and success that he has had through his career. And it's pretty impressive that he's able to continue to do this to this day. He's leading the league in passing yards, in attempts, in touchdowns. I think he's like top 3 or 4 in completion percentage. Like he's doing pretty well for himself this season, and the Bucs are doing pretty well too. And they've had a lot of question marks. We've doubted the Bucs on this show. We've doubted the Bucs a couple of times. I don't really know why. Yes. We never really did. I think we just kind of did it just to be like, huh, gotcha.
Well, we never really doubted them. We just let it be known
that there was questions.
Yeah. We knew when it comes down to it that they were going to be back where they needed to be.
Yeah, we did. We certainly did.
So
yeah, I mean, we're 14 weeks in, and if the season ended today, Tom's winning MVP. It's just that simple. There's nobody even close. I'm not willing to even listen to another argument. Genuinely, I'm not. Yeah. Unless you wanted to say Jonathan Taylor, but for him to get it, they would have to win win out. They would have to win out, and he would have to ball. That's the only way. I can't even think of anybody else. I said it was going to be Stafford before the year. I still stand by that. If he felt healthy all year, they've kind of had a weird little lull.
Mm-hmm.
But top quarterbacks in the league, I want to go top 3 because I think 3 is where it gets actually debating. Because if you say top 10, it's like, okay, well, we're gonna have the same 10 guys, just maybe the order is slightly different. Top 3 guys in the league.
Mm-hmm.
Starting at number 1 is actually easier, and then going down is harder because I think going down is where the debates get in. Who's the best quarterback in the league?
So I feel like right now, with just off the run that they're on, you gotta give it to Mr. Patty Mahomes. Just slinging it. He's number 4 in passing yards with 3,600. Um, Tied with Josh Allen at 27 with passing touchdowns. I mean, just they're on a roll. I I think you got to give it to him right now. He looks explosive. He looks good. So
Okay. I didn't expect that at all. I didn't expect that at all for number one out of you. Be honest with you.
no,
Wow. Okay. We mentioned in theory. It's not a theory for me. Tom Brady's the best quarterback in the league.
well, I was taking it away from because we already established that
Well, no,
Tom
no, 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 no,
is.
no, no, no. We're saying who's the best. I asked you. You told me Patrick Mahomes.
I was skipping
No,
Tom
no, no, no,
because
no,
we
no.
okay then
It's Tom
number
Brady.
2, then number 2.
Okay, so your Tom also won.
Yeah, I
Okay.
like I said, we went over that, so I didn't feel
No,
like
no, no. We
just
got to talk about it.
going in hard.
We got
Yeah,
to
we
talk
did,
about it because
but
a lot of people will tell you that despite Tom being the best at a lot of these things and him having the
hmm
longevity, he's not really making a lot of the throws that he maybe once did. Despite again that completion percentage, but that's a lot of like check down type
hmm
stuff. He's using Leonard Fournette a lot and all that.
yeah,
But with Tom, he's kind of one of those when it comes down to it, you know you got a dog type of quarterbacks, and he's won a lot of games just off of him being him this year. And it's
yeah,
been honestly impressive that, no hate to Derek Carr, but if you threw Derek Carr in there, who they have very similar stats despite the touchdowns, the Bucks would have 3 to 4 more losses. They just
hmm
would.
yeah,
So that's why I don't like to look too much at the numbers, but Tom has been really, really good. But number two for me, so you have Mahomes at number two,
hmm
right? I'm. This is a weird one because there's a lot of weird other things in play here. I think Patrick Mahomes is maybe the most talented quarterback we've ever seen in this league. I'm going to stand by that for a long time. I don't think he is right now.
okay,
Number two is Aaron Rodgers. He's missed a couple of games. He had like an injury, then he had COVID, so he's missed a couple of games. His counting stats are a little bit lower, right? 27 touchdowns to 4 incomplete or not incompletions. Imagine 4 interceptions. He has the best differential in the league right now. He's usually one of those top guys with differential. He doesn't turn the ball over very much. Yesterday, the Bears were winning that game. They were beating the Packers pretty bad. I think they were up
yeah,
like 2 scores or 3 scores. And our group chat was going crazy talking about, oh my God, the Bears are good. And me and Brooklyn said, or I know I specifically said, so keep that energy when the Packers blow them out in the second half. And they kind of did. They went 24 unanswered.
yeah,
Typical Aaron Rodgers fashion. It was just kind of dominant. Aaron Rodgers mentioned a couple weeks ago that he owns the Bears, and he certainly does own the Bears. I thank my lucky stars he didn't say that about the Vikings. He doesn't have as many wins against the Vikings as he does the Bears. So shout out. But
feel
man,
bad for Bears
I
fans.
I don't. Uh, I not even a little bit. But yeah, Aaron Rodgers, kind of on the same thing as Brady, where now he's starting to fight Father Time just a little bit. He's
Yeah,
clearly not as mobile as he used to be. Part of Aaron Rodgers' shtick was kind of the Big Ben shtick, where he got out of situations a lot, rolled out, maybe would do some runs, maybe would extend plays a little bit longer. He's not doing that quite as good as he once did, but he doesn't need to now because I feel like he has the best weapons he's ever had. And Rodgers looking cute. Looking cute.
I'm not mad at that.
So that's my number
Not
two
mad.
quarterback in the league. Who's number three?
Okay, so this one you may count it as a little bit of a reach, possibly,
Okay, we'll see.
but to start the year and for a very, very good chunk of the year, this guy was looking like he was MVP.
Stafford?
No,
Josh Allen.
he get no.
Oh my God. Okay. Sheesh.
He ends up missing a few games,
Okay.
and with those games missed, he's still at the top of a decent amount of stats. Kyler Murray.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Kyler
I
Murray.
was like, who? Okay. Yeah.
So passing yards, he's a little bit deeper. He's sitting at 25 with 2,300 and change. Okay, no big deal. He's 13th in the league in touchdowns. He's first in yards per passing attempt.
He got a
He's
good arm.
fourth.
He got a great arm.
He's fourth in yards per passing completion. He's 11th in yards per game, which is pretty impressive considering how many games he missed. And then he still has the number 1 passer rating in the NFL, which is also pretty impressive. So, considering if you throw in those games that he missed,
Okay.
this is where the reach comes in, because obviously in hindsight,
Yeah.
they don't exist.
They don't.
If he kept that pace, or even just a little bit under the bar of
He'd
that
probably
pace,
be top 3 in every stat.
there you go.
Yeah. No,
So that's why I go with Kyler Murray as my number 3.
I can get down with that. I love Kyler. You know I'm a big Kyler fan.
Mm-hmm.
The injury scares me. I think injuries might be an issue for his career. I just do, especially kind of the way he plays. I hope it's not, especially because like this one was an ankle and it kind of left him out longer than it should have. He came back and it went back out, and those type of things really scare me for quarterbacks. I love Kyler though. I don't think he's number 3. And I mentioned before that this year I don't think Mahomes to this point is in that echelon. I think Mahomes has kind of had just a weird year. And granted, they've won 6 in a row. They look really good. And
which is why
a lot of it's on him.
On that.
A lot of it's on him.
Which is why I give that weight.
But I wanted to highlight, and if you guys saw my tweet the other day, I mentioned him. Justin Herbert is a top 3 quarterback in the NFL.
He's amazing.
Justin Herbert is a top 3 quarterback in the NFL. I'll say it again if you didn't want to hear it the first time. Justin Herbert makes throws that when Patrick Mahomes is right and when Aaron Rodgers was in his prime 4 years ago are the only quarterbacks of all time that could make. He makes those types of throws. There was a great example of it yesterday. It's late in the second half. It's 3rd down. He makes a throw while rolling to his right, evading the lineman. I don't remember which Giants lineman it was. He has his arms around him as he's making this throw, so he can't even follow through because he's getting hit on this quarterback pressure. He throws the ball 65 yards in the air on a strike on a dime for a touchdown to end the half, to pretty much ice the game at the half. And that's literally a throw that 3 people ever in the history of this game make regularly.
Yeah.
Because I'm saying 3 because I think like Brett Favre makes that throw. I think he might throw a pick on it a couple times, but I think Brett Favre makes that throw.
Brett Favre was definitely the mold.
Yeah, right.
To those two.
But
obviously
that's it. I think it's Mahomes. I think it's Rodgers, and then maybe Brett that make that throw ever. And now Herbert's making that throw every week. I did a little bit of quarterback like film last week because I had a lot of fun going through a YouTube kind of like a delve session, right? And just looking at like Derek Carr things and why his numbers are kind of inflated and why he always throws for a lot of yards but isn't super successful, stuff to that nature. And just watching Herbert film, it's actually insane. And throw out the Oregon bias here. This dude could have been drafted out of Europe. Like, I don't care where he came from, bro. The things that he does to like create passing lanes for himself so that he can thread a needle that apparently he can just get it through, it actually like kind of hurts my brain. Because like some of these throws, like if you guys have time watching this, and I'm talking to you especially here, Brooke, if you have time, just literally go watch some like Justin Herbert's insane throws. Because the windows he's throwing through, or like the situations that he's in when he throws these balls, are like top of the league. Like you see it and you're like, yeah, okay, that's what a top quarterback is.
There's no argument there with Herb because he got a cannon for an arm too, and he has some electric games. Especially he was putting up some numbers to start the year. Yeah, he simmered out a little bit.
Yeah, he had a little trough there for sure. He threw a couple picks where some of them weren't his fault, some were. It's some weird ones.
Yeah. So there's no argument there. The cool thing that I want to throw on top of Herbert that we actually talked about before, game-winning drives in the NFL this season. Herbert's leading that, tied with Big Ben at 5, and then with comebacks in the NFL. He's number one as well with 5.
He's a
Young quarterback.
sophomore. Yeah, he's a sophomore in this league, and
Young quarterback, and he's leading his team and being a front runner for his team, a leader, just dogging it out.
yeah. Hey, and listen, if they would have won 2 or 3 of those games that they maybe should have, if they would have beaten the Vikings, if they would have won that Patriots game that I really think they could have won, they just did. They were kind of flat for too much of it. And then I think there was one other game that I'm blanking on that they lost. I don't remember which one it was. There's one other game that they probably should have won. If they win 2 of those 3 games, they're sitting at 9 wins, and he's probably 1B in the MVP conversation. But they kind of had those losses, and
yeah, I'm not mad at that.
so that's my list. I think it's Tom, Rodgers, Herbert.
And then Tom, Patty, Kyler.
Okay. And then I got probably Patty, Stafford, Kyler after that for like a round 6.
Stafford and Rodgers are definitely right outside of that, and I think throwing Josh Allen in there at probably at 6 to round it out would probably be the way to go.
You got Josh above Justin?
No.
See, it's weird, man. Like, especially those two, they play like the same football, except Herbert's just like so much smarter.
The thing with Allen though is his legs are better.
So he uses them more.
Well, yeah.
Herbert reminds me a lot of Andrew Luck, actually, just in general, because he has like the sneaky fast legs that you kind of don't expect. Remember, Andrew Luck ran the same 40 as Cam Newton.
Crazy. So it really just all comes down to like what do you hold at a higher weight with all of it.
Yeah. Okay.
Great quarterbacks though. However you want to spin it.
Yeah.
Some great talent, and we're lucky to be able to watch that.
Yeah, and it's crazy that Tom and Stafford, and kind of weird that Stafford's in that mix now, but Tom, Stafford,
right?
and Rodgers are all kind of on the other side of the hill, and they're still dealing. So
yeah, absolutely,
pretty sick stuff. But with that and talking about players and all their stats and all that good stuff, we're gonna throw it over to our boy Gerard. He's gonna hit you from the corner.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy Gerard, and we're back again with another segment of Fantasy Corner. We're looking at Week 14. This is the last week of the regular season. Now it's on to playoffs, so if you made the playoffs, congratulations. If you didn't make the playoffs, I mean, there's always next year, but if you didn't make the playoffs, don't be coming to last place, and don't be watching my stuff trying to come in last place. So I'm going to make sure I got you guys if you're trying to win or if you're trying to avoid that last place punishment that you guys may have in your leagues. But to start off, we got the QB1, Josh Allen, 300 yards in the air, 100 on the ground, 3 total touchdowns for 36 fantasy points. Would have had a little bit more, but there was a clear pass interference call on days. I'm not going to get into it. But you know how it is. When Brady's on your team, you will be getting a lot of calls for you. Still kind of hurt. Dalvin Cook, 205 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 35 fantasy points. Whenever Dalvin Cook puts that thing on his shoulder, whatever it is he has on there, he takes off. So good to see Dalvin Cook is looking somewhat healthy this year, a little bit more than normal, and he still has that high production. Devontae Adams, 10 catches, 121 yards for 2 touchdowns for 34 fantasy points. Now, I think Rodgers and Tay is the best wide receiver quarterback duo in the league. You can argue Stafford and Cup, but I think that Tay and Adams have been consistent, so I'm liking for Tay to carry you guys to the playoffs as well. George Kittle had 13 receptions for 151 yards, a touchdown for 34 fantasy points as well. Kittle is a beast. That's back-to-back monster performances, and I'm sure it's going to slow down eventually, but I don't think it's going to slow down to the point where it's going to cost you any games or anything like that. CeeDee Lamb is who I'm going to be starting because he has an easy schedule for the next couple of weeks. He has the Giants, then he has Washington, and he has Arizona. Arizona's going to be a little iffy in the championship, but however, the Giants and the Washington secondary aren't the best, so I'm looking at CeeDee Lamb, and plus they're must-win games for the Cowboys to make sure they can finish out and win that NFC East. Devontae Smith plays Washington, and then he plays the Giants, and then he plays Washington again. So, I mean, looking at Devontae Smith, he's not someone who might be in a lot of rosters, like on the starting aspect of it, maybe in deeper leagues, but I'm looking at throwing him in there if you can. Deontay Johnson, he has Tennessee, then he has Kansas City, then he has Cleveland, all very mid-secondaries. So Deontay Johnson, I'm sure, is going to do well for you guys. And Jalen Waddle, he plays the Giants. I mean, not the Giants, plays the Jets. He plays New Orleans, and he plays Tennessee. Again, all pretty mid to very bad secondary. So Jalen Waddle's been turning it up at the same time. So I'm liking Jalen Waddle to blow up in these next couple weeks and help you guys win the ship. Next, we're looking at the running backs. Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb, they play Baltimore, then they play the Raiders, and then they play Pitt. All of those, we just seen what the Vikings did to Pitt. Baltimore's defense has been hurt all year, and the Raiders are just very inconsistent. So I think that they will run all over all three of those teams. Montgomery, he has the Vikings, then he has Seattle, then he has the Giants. Again, run defense for all three of those are not there. So I'm liking David Montgomery to go off. And they put up a good fight against the Packers, which is a good sign for the rest of the way for them. Javonte Williams, I guess I'm going to put a slash Melvin Gordon here, even though I like Javonte Williams a little bit more. I'm starting Javonte over Melvin Gordon. But regardless, you have Cincinnati, then you have the Raiders, and then you have the Chargers. The Chargers could be a little bit iffy. Their defense seems to want to turn off at some points of the season, but relatively speaking, very mid to subpar run defense. So I'm looking for both of them to run over all three of those teams. And then you have Antonio Gibson, who was my pick to blow up, hasn't done it because of that stress fracture in his leg, but I think he has enough to help you out, especially if he's on your team and you need some running back help. But he has Philadelphia, then he has Dallas, then he has Philadelphia. The Dallas game is a little iffy, especially that's the game that's probably going to get you guys into the playoffs, especially if you're doing it where, not to the playoffs, but to the championship, especially if you're doing it where the first round is a bye, then you have 1 week for the semifinals and 1 week for the finals. That Dallas game is going to be iffy. However, the two games against Philly are very enticing, so I'm looking at Antonio Gibson the rest of the way as well. But hey, we're almost there. We're almost to the end. I hope you guys do well in playoffs. I need to go ahead and make sure my lineup's right because all my team is hurt at the right time because, going into the playoffs with a healthy team is too much to ask for this year. But it is what it is. It's your boy Gerard. Catch you for Week 15 Fantasy Corner, people. Peace.
Thank you, Gerard. As always, you are a man, a scholar, and a gentleman. We appreciate you. Everybody, take his advice. Go into the playoffs. Get a dub. And if you're not in the playoffs, I hope you didn't get last, like you said, so you don't got to do something stupid like eat a waffle every hour in Waffle House or take the SAT or do a naked marathon. Like, I hope you don't got to do none of that, but if you do,
send us videos of it.
Not the naked marathon. Everything else. Yeah.
Censor it. But
you know what? Yeah.
We want it all.
Yeah. If you guys have any weird punishments, let us know. We're super interested in that. And then before we do hop out of here, we did want to do a little thing, I guess. Last week, I still don't know the reasoning behind it. I don't know if that's been revealed yet. But we did lose one of the greats to ever do it for the Denver Broncos. Somebody who was involved pretty heavily in our youth growing up. He was an absolute beast, a game wrecker, Super Bowl champion, multi-time Pro Bowler, Demaryius Thomas. Somebody who all of his teammates and everybody that he's pretty much ever met was a shining light in their life. And we did lose him this last week at the age of 33. And the Broncos did a cool little thing to start the game. They had 10 men on the field, took a delay of game, sat out Cortland Sutton, one of their wide receivers, and the Lions declined it. They kind of just went on business as usual. After that, just kind of played the game. And it was a cool moment. You heard the crowd kind of chanting DT there, and probably a very emotional day over there in Denver, as it definitely should have been.
Oh, yeah. And the last drive of the game ended up being an 88-yard drive. So just to top it all off, crazy stuff. But yeah, man, just great guy, outstanding human being from everything you hear. It's sad that all the stories of people being good have to come after
Yeah.
tragedy.
Yeah.
So unfortunate, but at least his greatness off the field can be brought to light as it should be.
Yeah.
And he only retired
This year.
earlier this
Yeah.
year. So it's tough. It's terrific to see. So young and all that. And like you said, just a iconic person within our youth. Crazy plays on the field. The one that comes to mind is just the first play of overtime from Tebow.
Yeah.
You end up getting the touchdown.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, it was cool for me when he ended up being a Jet. I got really, really happy about that back when I still believed. But to be able to have him on your team and have such a guy like that, it was good. And prayers go out to his family, people close to him, Bronco fans, the organization, all that. Yeah, it's sad to see, man.
Yeah, it's definitely a young legend and somebody that Broncos fans will forever remember. And you mentioned that play with Tebow, and plays like that really stick with people, and those are plays that make people fall in love with the sport and fall in love with a team and an organization and a player and all that. And he was certainly the full embodiment of all that. So, Demarius, thank you for everything you did. Rest in peace. And
Big ups to 88.
big ups to 88. And thank you guys, everybody, for listening. As always, you can go and find us at _ the spectators on all of our socials, Twitter, Facebook, even Instagram, TikTok, all the good stuff. Make sure you're following and subscribed, and check us out every Monday. We'll be back next week with another episode right before Christmas, baby.
And our 2-year anniversary, so keep an eye out for that too.
Absolutely, guys. And we got a couple videos coming out this week, so
We do.
be on the lookout for that. Thank you guys again. Have a good one. Peace.
Peace.